Hey guys, Positive here, and I'm back. So I left my recording equipment in Pittsburgh over the summer, which is why I didn't put out a video in like 3 months. But whatever. Anyway, today the topic I wanted to talk about was rammer versus calibrated shells. Now, lots of people, I mean lots of people, will tell you that calibrated shells is the way to go. And I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. Calibrated shells is quite detrimental to your play. And the reason being is it's really not as good as people make it out to be. So people say that, oh, you get more effective DPM with calibrated. And if you bounce a shell with rammer, then you should just run calibrated because you've just wasted that DPM. And really, that's false. Because the vast majority of times, even if you had been running calibrated, when you bounce a shot, it's not because you didn't pen them. It's usually because you missed them and you hit like an auto bounce or like a mantlet that's way too thick to pen. And really, that 20 millimeters extra penetration that calibrated gives you just makes very little difference. Most of the shots you bounce would not have penned with calibrated anyway. And then they'll also say, oh, I don't see what good rammer does. You have to be shooting for like a minute straight to see any difference. And actually, that's also false because what rammer gives you is on something like, say, a tier 10 medium tank like the Leopard 1, you save about half a second on your reload. And that half a second is huge because there's a lot of instances where someone will get away, get behind a corner in that half second. But if you had been running rammer, you would have been able to put out a second shot. That's a shot out of thin air that you would not have had with calibrated. And that's really the difference that rammer makes. And so I'm going to just illustrate this point today by playing 2 live games and then showing you exactly how many shots I would have penned had I been running calibrated. And I'll also tally up how many shots I probably missed out on if I were running calibrated. And we'll just overall see what's the winner. And the tanks I'll be using to demonstrate this, I'll be using the Leopard and I'll be using the T62. These are 2 tier 10 medium tanks, low penetration, and a lot of people will tell you to run calibrated on these. And I'll show you exactly why calibrated is redundant. So without further ado, let's jump into the gameplay. So here we are jumping into our first live game. So I did record this game live, but I decided to redub over the audio simply because the original audio quality was absolutely awful and difficult to listen to. So I'm just going to re-record this audio in my editing software. And I'm just going to prove to you exactly how little of a difference calibrated makes, and also the benefits of rammer, because I think it's easier to show it than it really is to kind of explain it in theory. But anyway, you can see already looking at their team that actually their team is not very tough, because unlike in comps, you're not going to be fighting like 5 IS4s or some nonsense in a pub match. So this match is actually pretty typical. They only have pretty much 2 tough tanks to pen. That VK72 and that M103 can be a little bit difficult. Also maybe the T30 if I find him hull down or something. But other than that, a lot of these tanks are pretty easy to pen. A lot of these medium tanks, that 5120, really having calibrated for a lot of the targets you end up shooting at in pubs, calibrated just ends up being really redundant and unnecessary, frankly. And I'm also going to be able to show you guys exactly how much extra damage I can get out because of rammer. Now, it's only 8%, but that 8% extra DPM does make a difference, especially when it comes to smaller engagements where the enemy gets around a corner or something just in the nick of time, or if you're firing consistently on reload. So actually right here, I'm going to pretty much be firing on reload for the next 5 shots. So there's the first one and the second one. So far, not too much of an issue, but you can see actually, maybe even on that second shot, that 5041 might have gotten around the corner had I been half a second slower with calibrated shells as opposed to rammer. So actually that last shot on the VK72, here, this one right here, because he just shot, he's going back into cover. And because I fired 5 shots on reload, that VK72 would have been safe from that shot. So I know that's 350 extra damage that I would not have gotten out had I been running calibrated. And then same goes for that Leopard. There's also a very good chance that had I not been running rammer, he would also be safe, because right after I take that shot is when he goes behind cover. So between that shot, the shot on the T-5041, like those, that's potentially about a shot of damage right there on average. And then that VK72 definitely would have been safe had I not been running Rammer. So that's almost like, no matter how you put it, at least one, maybe 2 shots of extra damage I would not have had without Rammer. So I've gone ahead and taken the liberty of looking at not only my bounces on Map Inspector, but every single bounce shot in the game, my team, enemy team, etc. So you can see VK72 auto bounce, Leopard auto bounce, Calibrated shells makes no difference on this one. Another, I think I hit the mantlet on this one, Calibrated shells also does not save my shell. And so those are my 2 bounces taken care of. As you can see, Calibrated making 0 difference. The only shot in the game where it made a difference was this standard B shot into the tracks of the VK72. Calibrated bumps up his chance to 30%. And then this E100, M103 firing heat into the mantlet. Again, Calibrated not doing squat here. And then this shot into the VK72, hitting that auto bounce again. Calibrated also not saving that shot. On this T95, it looks like it might have made a difference, but the shot dipped too low. So it's 360 millimeters, that 5120 is not going through. Missing the lower plate weak spot on the mouse. Calibrated also, again, would not have done anything here. And that's the shots from everyone in the game. That's every single shot that was bounced during that battle. And with the exception of that standard B shot, not a single shell would have been saved by Calibrated there. Not one out of all the shots fired by all 14 players. That's how absolutely nothing Calibrated does for you. And now here we go with the second game. So this game I played immediately after the Leopard game in the T62A. And we're going to see exactly how much Calibrated shells would do for me and how much Rammer would do for me. So just to recap, in the last Leopard game, because of Rammer we had about 1, maybe 2 extra shots of damage that we would not have had with Calibrated. And exactly 0 shots where Calibrated would have given me extra damage. Now let's look at this T62 game. We have even less penetration on our APCR shells. I believe it's 245 on the T62 if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. And once again, just like the Leopard game, there's actually not that many heavily armored tanks on the other team. It's only like 2 where I think I might have some trouble penetrating them. And again, this is pretty typical for a pub match. There won't be that many tanks that are difficult to pen. And then there I try and snap one at the DIS-4 mantlet or whatever. Doesn't even matter because I hit the dirt. So we won't give anyone any credit for that one. And we put a shell into the Gorilla. That's another soft tank. Once again, Calibrated doing pretty much nothing. But that second shot on the Gorilla, there's absolutely no way that would have been a shot that I could hit had I been running Calibrated. That Gorilla would have definitely been over that ridge if I had Calibrated on. Because that extra 0.4 seconds I saved by running Rammer means that I got that extra shot out onto that Gorilla. But anyway, continuing on with the replay. Now we're aiming for this VK72. Hit him in the lower plate with heat. And so even though I'm loading heat, even if I had Calibrated, I'm not going to pen that lower plate with APCR. It's just not happening. But now at this point in the replay, I fire 11 shots on reload. 11. That means that I've definitely managed to get 1 extra shot opportunity out just because I fired 11 shots on reload with Rammer. And then this 7th shot here on the Progetto, if I were running Calibrated, he gets around that corner as well. So during this replay, I get at least 2 extra shot opportunities with Rammer, and then actually 3. However, for that third, I do bounce the shot, so I don't really know if I count it. But that bounce shot also would not have penned had I been running Calibrated, as I'll show you. Once again, just like the last replay. But again, I'm getting another like 2 shells out, even 3, just because I'm running Rammer. And that's really not something I can say had I been running Calibrated. So once again, we'll bring up Map Inspector and we'll show you the rest of the shots. So here we have the shot logs of every shot that I bounced during this game. Didn't include the teammates because it was too many. But anyway. So first shot bounced off his upper plate. Second shot bounced off his mantlet. Both these shots Calibrated would not make a difference. And then the next shot hit his rear end, ricochet. Again, Calibrated not making a difference. And then ricocheting off the side of the Progetto here again, not making a difference. And even for the VK72 lower plate that I was talking about earlier, even if I load APCR with Calibrated, I still wouldn't pen it. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Calibrated is so situational because it only benefits you if you bounce a shot where Calibrated would have penned. So just like the Himmelsdorf game, I actually went through and I looked at every single bounced shot during that game, as well as penetrations on thickly armored tanks. And there wasn't a single shot where Calibrated made a difference. Not one out of like something like 20 different bounced shots. I can't show them all on video because it would take way too long and it crashes my computer. Or not my computer, Chrome. But it's absolutely mind-boggling how situational Calibrated is. So many shots from all different players of all different skill levels, and not one, not a single one in both these battles would Calibrated have made a difference. And that's really why you shouldn't be running Calibrated. Between these two battles, I've managed to eke out roughly an extra 2 shots per game simply by virtue of running Rammer. And Calibrated has benefited exactly 0 of the 28 players in these last 2 games. Exactly 0. And that's really why you should be running Rammer, long and short of it. In comps, it's a different story, maybe when you're fighting a bunch of IS4s, but in pubs, there's no reason to be running Calibrated, even on low penetration mediums, like the 2 I've just played. And I know for a lot of you, this is going to be a tough pill to swallow because it goes against so much conventional wisdom. And you might call me out for saying, oh, it's only 2 games, it's a small sample size, but between all the shots that are fired in 2 games, that's a lot of shots. If you're looking at upwards like 20, 30 something shots per game. And considering the fact that Calibrated affected none of those shots is really ridiculous. So that's all I have to say for today. Hope you guys have good luck on the battlefield, and remember, don't run Calibrated. Just don't. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and bye.